ETRetailCafe presented by ETRetail. It's a new episode, a new story, a new retailer. So today we have with us Akhil Duggar Jain, who is the ED of Madame. Madame is a premier retail brand under the umbrella of Jain Amar Group. So Jain Amar Group was started by his grandfather in 1939 and Madame as a brand in the Western wear category forayed into 1980. So let's know more about the brand and the story about it and what are the plans ahead. So we have Akhil. Akhil, welcome to ETRetail. It's ETRetailCafe. We would love to know from you what was the idea of your grandfather before starting this brand and venturing into the garment segment.
So, hi Charu, welcome to our office today. It's so good to have you with us today. So 1939, yes, my grandfather as a big family, just to make the ends meet per se, it was very humble beginnings. So they migrated from the now Punjab side of Pakistan to the Punjab side of India, and they started with manufacturing of cotton mufflers. Because Punjab was primarily dominant with winters, so they started with mufflers, and then a lot of my grandfather's brother and my grandfather did a lot of machine work manufacturing by their own hands with very traditional machines, and slowly they grew from from manufacturing to a wholesale shop, from manufacturing to a brand, from manufacturing to a retailer. The journey has been very phenomenal. It's been a very phenomenal journey.
So you must have seen at home your dad, your grandfather talking about the business. So where was the idea of you joining the business came from? Were you inspired from their talks, what they were discussing at the house, or was there any other inspiration which attracted you to the business? So
my grandfather, who's been an ideal for us within the family, I mean, we don't have to look for many idols outside the family. So he always had one thought that, if you work for yourself, so you'll be feeding your family. So, but if you work for the community as a manufacturer, as a retailer, so probably today if I have got more than 2,000 people on my payroll, so directly I'm responsible for feeding families of 2,000 people as a business. So that always stuck into our minds, the minds of my generation, and we always, always cherished. I remember as youngsters when we used to go to the manufacturing plants of retailers, so he would ensure that we touch the feet of all the elderly people that those were there, just to ensure, that the mental equilibrium remains in the place, and probably till date it has been so.
So I mean, there are values which he inculcated into you, and you are imparting in the organization going ahead. This is what?
Yes, we are trying it very hard, and people have been too responsive. I've got so many people who've been with us for one decade, 1.5 decade. So I joined my office back in 2003. That's been almost 20 years now after I finished my graduation from National Institute of Fashion Technology in New Delhi. And the first thing when I came back to went to Ludhiana, which is the hometown and primarily the manufacturing place there. So I was taken to the wholesale shop over there, and okay, so your primarily KR is you attend the customer, you pack the goods, and you deliver the goods from one place to another place. That was my primary KRS for the first 6 months, for them to test me, is that boy ready to do the hardships, and will he be a good custodian to take this company and brand forward, and probably which probably me and my other kins have been doing it pretty nicely.
So I mean, you have into the business, you have understand the ground level nitty-gritties that ways, and then started taking the responsibilities ahead.
Yes, that's true. So I report to my the senior director, Mr. Vipin Jain, who's my uncle. So I think it took me about 8 years sitting on his chair for the first time. So whenever in his absence, I had to do some of his jobs, I would always sit on a side chair and not on his chair, because I could understand that chair was very it's a tough chair to be. Yeah.
So how it feels to be sitting there on that tough chair now?
So I would say, my peer group, my parents, my uncle and my father, they've been so generous in, raising us as who we are today. And they've always believed in a very smooth transition. So my grandfather transited very smoothly to my parents and my uncle, and both of them are transiting it now. It's a wonderful transition. They're doing it with this generation as well. So I am 20 years in the business. My younger one is about 18 years, and the youngest one is about 10 years in the business. And everybody has been so meticulously given a delegation of authority that how you operate, how you behave, and how you take things forward.
Oh, that's nice. So being a third generation entrepreneur, you must have seen the business which was there from almost a century, right? So you must have seen the world is changing, the retail industry is changing. What were the changes that you have brought to match the pace? of the growing retail industry these days.
So as rightly said, so we will be entering the 9th decade of this enterprise now, and we are very, very excited, to just telling my grandfather that, okay, you please be with us for another 10 years and we will sail it through to the next 100 years in front of you. And so innovation and sustainability and being relevant has been ingrained in this company for a long time. What I have seen on the history of how this company has behaved and matured, and we are still following the same principles of being relevant, being innovative and being sustainable. And that's why today, in spite of a lot of competition in the market, with the FDIs opening up, with a lot of foreign brands also coming in the market, we're still there, we're still relevant, we're still growing, expanding. So probably I would say innovation is one major thing that's ingrained in this company, which is helping everyone, and openness to ideas, be it from the family members or be it from outside the family members, has been a very good ingredient with us.
And Akhil, one thing I must say, you are not only growing in Bharat or only in India, you are growing across Bharat and across India.
If we go back to the roots of the company, so we started from a city called Ludhiana, 300 kilometers north of Delhi, and so we started manufacturing. So we've all been that tier 2 mentality. So we grew from there, and my uncle who had the courage and capacity to go beyond that city, when he opened his first store, Madam store, in 2002 in Mumbai, and that was his first attempt, and we could envision the passion he had for the brand, for the product, for being very different from what Ludhiana behaved like. And because of his passion, we shifted the corporate about 7 years ago to Gurgaon, and that's again is a testimony of his vision and the baton he's trying to give to us, and we are taking it forward.
So when we talk about your uncle and your father, so were they the ones who started the brand Madam, or was it your grandfather who forayed from the woolen business into this thing?
Yeah, so technically it was my father and my uncle. After they've been in the business for about a decade and a half decade. So in family-owned companies, it always takes you one decade to actually get some kind of authority. It's very easier for people who come on payroll to get those authorities. But yes, post they were there, so they were the ones who've been instrumental in in transitioning from traditional woolen to fashion and something fancier. So I think in late 80s we started with a brand called Gold Queen, which still exists. It's a small percentage of our business today, but it still exists. So that was the first time where traditional woolen was converted into high fashion product. And because my father and my uncle have been traveling across Europe, across Southeast Asia, even in the 80s, so they always used to see women's fashion was always something which excited them both, and it was a very immature category in India. I remember when we started Madam in the early 90s, and Delhi University, the North Campus was primarily a very hot spot for us, and we could realize that after 15 years, the women at that time they had to, once they are 15 or 16 out of college, so they had to switch over their attire to traditional wear, more hip covering thing. It was very different. I'm talking about 30 years back.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very different than what we see today. So that's the maturity the brand has done. So the girl who was 15 years old that 30 years back, and today probably she'll be 40, 45, she's still my customer. So that is the relevance that I have today. So I have matured with my customer. I'm still relevant for her, and because I'm relevant for her, I'm also relevant for her daughter today.
True that. So your uncle and your dad brought a change. What changes are you planning to bring into the business?
So yes, so obviously they gave us a beautiful platform with a beautiful product, a beautiful supply chain system. So my generation, or I've been given the baton to professionalize it further, to ensure that the business is elongated, has a longevity, and it still stays relevant. So for me, all the retail ecosystem was developed under my mentorship, my team's effort. And so we are today sitting at more than 175 exclusive brand stores across the country, and otherwise also presence across 400 other point of sales, including large format retailers and multi-brand stores and your online marketplaces. So I have been given the baton to take this forward and take the company to maybe a public listing.
Oh, is public listing on the cards?
We are working backwards toward it. So you always begin with the end in mind. So we have created a midterm target to get more transparent, get more organized, get more professional, and so we are trying to do that, and a lot of things are getting tick marked day by day.
So on this journey, which I mean is going to lead to the IPO, you must have faced some challenges also. There must be some risks you must have taken. What were those challenges? What was those risks? And how did you mitigate those risks?
See, as a businessman, every day is full of challenges. You do a lot of projections. You create a lot of aspirational projections, and every time it doesn't mature the way it has to mature. I always say, once you put everything in place and say, okay, my plane is ready to take off at a good speed, and all of a sudden you have a speed breaker. So, for example, COVID can be a speed breaker, as everybody saw it. Competition can be a speed breaker. Your own team management skills can be a speed breaker. Your funds can be speed breakers at times. But as businessmen, we understand that we have to overcome them, and it's a cycle. I mean, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up. It's like an ECG machine. It keeps going up, keeps coming down. So everything is fine. If it becomes a flat line, you're dead.
So you love challenges that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you cannot resist it. The moment it's natural, it's going to happen. Even if you keep resisting, it'll still happen. So better go with the flow.
So may I say technology was also a challenge, or was it a smooth road, a smooth ride for you guys?
Yeah, tech has been probably an ingrained, an ingrained quality of my generation who've actually lived the tech life. So probably 19 years ago, when I just joined the office, the very next year I said, no, we had to get into our ERP software, in spite of small softwares and programs, and that actually helped us scale up to this particular level. I remember when I went to my father that I want to buy say 20 licenses of the ERP software. He said, okay, it's just a CD, why don't you make copies of it? So that's the journey we took, and today when we're just moving on to a standard program like SAP or a Microsoft Cloud, so that's the journey we have done so far. And technology, yes, it comes ingrained in us. So, for example, last year at an event in Mumbai on the 22nd of March, we launched our first Metaverse store.
Metaverse store?
Yes.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Connected commerce.
We would love to know more about it.
Yeah, so that's the first an experience store for my staff and for the gamer community as of now, because it is still very niche, and only the foreign luxury brands have actually ventured into Metaverse, yeah. but not missing the ride over there. So we launched a store in Metaverse. My team is exploring it. So we have got a couple of Oculuses over here, wherein they can just feel it, understand it, because till it is not ingrained in them, it'll never be executed. I mean, at the top we can think of hundreds of things, but it has to be ingrained down to the lowest level for it to happen. And so this we try doing it a lot. So we always have a combination of a bottoms up, top down, and a bottoms up approach in whatever we do.
That's nice. So you are investing in technology, you are experimenting into technology. ChatGPT is coming, it is going to replace many things. As it's been said, no hard and fast thing though. What if it replaces you also, Akhil? What will you do then?
I'll find another job, no problem. The point is, the human mind will always be bigger than what we have created. So ChatGPT is AI, predictive technology, Metaverse. They are a good tool to do a lot of transactions in a faster way, but they will never be able to replace human mind, because human mind will always be bigger than what is creating.
So what strong business strategies are you building to compete or maybe stand the technological innovations which are going to come ahead?
Mm-hmm. So in terms of, I'll tell you, sitting where I am today at the topmost level of the leadership, so probably I think whenever somebody asks me what's your job profile, I said people management is my job profile. So that's the first thing I have to do is, we've got such a large team with, varied talents, varied experiences,
True.
and varied capabilities. So, just trying to, get that thing together, bringing them on one page so that they deliver what the organization requires is probably is something that I look forward to. And technology and your design and your retail, your channels, everything is a part of, how you do that. So I would say for anybody on top today, I think people management skills is the primary face care of everyone.
So people management, if you have learned this, if you have mastered this skill, which means, you can manage each and everything.
Yes, absolutely. I would say yes, because, with the throws and highs coming every now and then, COVID came, it was very easy to lose people at that time. It was very easy for organizations to save their profits and say, okay, I'm letting you go. I can save money. But as a company, as a responsible company, we still stuck to our people. We asked them, okay, you're still there, don't worry. You're not capable, that is okay, we'll train you. But leaving, so organization will never grow by letting people go. We'll only grow by having more people. Though technology will also come, the size of transactions are increasing now and then. For example, if 10 years, I was just looking at the population census last evening only. So at 1804, the world had about 1 billion people, and today we are 8 billion. So you see the kind of competition, the way things are changing, and And you have to understand the ecosystem, and if I can make you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I've understood. But Akhil, we have seen that when we talk about the brands, there are many fast fashion brands which have entered the arena in the Indian industry, because you said many brands like Uniqlo's and Zara's of the world are there. But you have not been impacted by the competition and all, then the brand has been sustaining from such a long time. What is sustaining? What tips would you like to share that how brands can build a sustainable business for themselves?
I tell you, the first thing I always tell everyone is, you believe in your story first. You are there. Don't think that you are weaker than anyone else. See, the market is expanding. The customer is expanding every now and then. As I said, 1 billion to 8 billion today. So the market is expanding like anything. The disposable income is changing like anything. So let brands come. They'll come. They always create competition. And in this competition, they motivate you to compete, to improve what you are. For example, it used to be a seller's market 50 years back. And whatever the producer was producing, everybody was happy getting it. Today, the things have changed. So that gives us an opportunity to do more research. You try to connect customer in a very different way, because in the end you have this more competition, but it gives you more agility.
So you must have seen the customer expectations also changing from then to now. How have you seen them changing? What steps do you take to match those expectations?
Yes. So as I was saying, it was seller's market, and today it's a buyer's market. I remember back in 2002, I would go to the North Campus, and probably we always used to joke that out of every 10 girls, 8 girls would be wearing a Madame T-shirt, for example. That was then. But today, when you go over there, you see, okay, it's about two people out of 10 who would be. It is not that my brand is less. The competition increased. The option has increased for the customer, but it's still relevant. So a lot of customized marketing, a lot of we've invested in a lot of tools wherein we understand the customer behavior, customer persona. So as the customer is growing, the Gen Z, who's going to be the next big customer for any brand in the country, they have to be targeted very well for that. Obviously, the today's customer who has for example, somebody like you who has a good disposable income in your hand, yes, you are a very important customer. But we always have to look at the future customer, who will be the next you for us. So in that way, we have started focusing a lot on Gen Z customer. Like one of the foreign sportswear brands, is publicly talking that I am started designing for alphas. For me, Gen Z is also gone. So that is the speed. And when you hear such things, so obviously you also get into that, I would say a spiritual mode, that okay, what next?
So what next?
Lots of things on the pipeline. My whiteboard is full of a lot of ideas and a lot of things, and we are gradually trying to get into that. So for us, as of now, completing the pan-India expansion is on the rolls, and then we've tested our waters with the Southeast Asia and the MENA region as well as a brand, and we'll be strengthening our positions over there and strengthening our position in the country as well. So it's my playground. I have to be better prepared before competition comes.
That's nice. But when we talk about competition, we have seen the new age brands which are entering the arena. They are just disrupting the category. Not just, they are basically disrupting the categories. And when we talk about the traditional retailers like you, which have been into the industry from a really long time, you guys, the brands like you focus more upon scalability and profitability. Yes. What do you think is the right way to run a business? Concentrating upon profitability and scalability, or disrupting the category left, right and center?
See, I tell you, if you begin with a noble cause, disruption is always welcome. But if probably what's happening with today's new age startup entrepreneurs is, they have an idea and they straight want funding. With no proof of concept, you want funding. For 5 years, you will be riding on somebody else's money. You can get a lot of volumes from that. But what happens after that? You're nowhere. People like, for example, when e-commerce came into India, a lot of offline retailers were of the opinion that it's actually disrupted a lot of retailers. But then we had to learn that it is again a channel of sales for us. It is not a disruption for us, and we have to be very careful in how we play with them. So I would always say that sustainability again, and sustainability will come with profitability. You cannot negate profitability at any cost, because when, as I said before, that if I'm answerable to 2,000 families, I cannot risk my profitability for them. One of my consultancies always gives me a very good idea that, Akhil, why you have to consult me every now and then, though you're too smart? Because one wrong action will impact 2,000 families. So this is ingrained in us, and probably will always be like that.
Retail industry has changed a lot from past so many years. What changes are you foreseeing in the future coming ahead, and how are you preparing to face them?
So it's all gone digital age. You know, the customer is more informed, the customer is more confident, the customer is more aggressive in terms of, you know, what he or she wants to buy, procure, be it be grocery, be it be apparels, be it be technology, for example. And so as brands, we have to gear up for that. We have to ensure that, you know, what the customer requires is delivered to her or him. For example, for us, technology like Metaverse, for example, is again an early age thing that we want to do, so that when the ecosystem becomes Metaverse ready, we don't miss out on what's happening. And because of your ecosystem, because of the category you're in, you can actually do it today.
So you're betting big upon technology in one line, if I have to say that.
You cannot negate technology in any way. For example, now we're working on, again, a Metaverse, as we say. So today, if I have to create my SS24 collection, and in the traditional way I do it, it takes me up to 90 days, for example. But if we actually invest in, you know, good tools, technology tools like a PLM, or maybe future Metaverse, I can do it in like less than 25 days. So that's the speed. And the moment you have this speed, your agility increases, your go-to-market strategy increases. You can do customized things for your consumer as well. So it changes. I remember when we were relatively geographically consolidated, and when 100% of my production was within my own plants. So on my stores, people used to even take orders. For example, if this is a particular style, they used to call up the factory. You have this fabric? Yes, we can take orders for your customer. So that was when your spread was small. But with this increase in spread, your agility also has to increase.
True that. So, Akhil, like third gen entrepreneur, can we expect your kids also entering and joining the business, or do you want your kids to explore the world and do whatever they want to do?
See, being kids of businessmen, we've always told them that you have to work for your community. You earn money, that's fine. You have your luxury, everything fine. But in the end, what are you giving back to the society? So prima facie, we are not required that they join this very business, though we are trying to create avenues for them. So whenever they grow up, they become 25, 26, the avenue should be ready for them to join this business or an alternate or any other diversified business. But we are still, you know, I mean, in today's generation, we are exposing the kids to so much of culture and so much of options. I mean, for my kids, it's okay that, you know, they can pursue. I mean, for example, my daughter, she's already set her eyes on NYU for journalism, and I said, it's pretty fine for us.
That's nice. So you're open to everything.
I mean, I always say you cannot resist change. Change is inevitable. The more you resist, the more you fall back. You have to go with the flow. That's the reality, what we have understood.
And that is the reason the company has been there from almost 90 years.
Yes, I think, yes, God has been kind with everything, with our customer relations, with our peer group, with our team, our staff, that, you know, we've been there, and hopefully we look a long way ahead as well.
I hope you go with the flow, and you just keep on building the successful businesses the way you have been till now.
Yeah,
so Akhil, before we close, I would love to have a quick chat with you. It's a rapid chat kind of a thing where I'll be asking questions from you at a rapid speed, and you also have to answer at a rapid speed, right? So for my first question is, which is the favorite business book which we have read, and what are the lessons that you have learned from it?
Okay, so I remember this Pour My Heart Into It by Howard R. Schultz. That was the next ex-CEO of Starbucks. That book was so amazing. It gave you so much of passion about the brand and the customer connect the brand creates. So that is one book that I always recommend, and even I, you know, send it to people who wants to start. Okay, I want to start reading a book. Well, this is the first book you read. And the next one on Indian context is Corporate Chanakya. A relatively very small book, but it makes so much sense.
Favorite retail brand or the retailer?
Apple.
Nice. And offline or online, which is the preferred mode of shopping for you?
For research online, for shopping offline.
Why so?
Because with research, you actually, when you want to invest. So today, we are not buying things, we are investing in things now. Nothing is cheap, and you're investing, be it be a car, be it be a technology, be it be anything. So for a person like me, so this e-commerce or online or YouTube's or social media is only a means to experience, understand and research. And offline, yes, being a retailer, I always like going offline, because we also need to understand the experience that, you know, we're getting from the brands I like, and, you know, and you always keep balancing about what the experience you're giving to your own consumer.
So the retail industry has always seen you working and building a brand. They don't know what you do in your free time. What other things excite you apart from running a successful brand?
You just picked it up. That's running. I am an ultra marathon runner. So this is one thing that I do, and it also focuses. So for example, I always tell my team that I am running and my business is also running. I don't need to stop.
So this is the inspiration for you, I can say.
Yes. So yes, it's a spiritual thing for me. When I run, I mean, I do about 50 kilometers a week. That's what I do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that 1 hour every day or that 20 minutes every day, plans your day in such a beautiful manner. I mean, it's more like any sports person, if you ask, that's a spiritual thing for them. That's not a sport. That's a spiritual thing.
So Akhil, my last question is, what is the advice that you would love to give to the fellow retailers or the upcoming retailers to make sure you can build a sustainable business which is going to last for generations going ahead?
Always set your aspirations right. Don't hurry into things. Everything takes a sweet time. Let that time come and things will fall into places. So if, for example, if I am targeting X brand and I won't say I want to reach there, it's not possible because I have to do my sweet journey. For any entrepreneur, any brand, anyone who is running a company or a career succession also, it will take some time. It will take sweet time. Your effort you give has to be 100% and you will reach there.
Thank you for watching this episode with Akhil Jain. It was an inspiring story listening from him. Next week, I'll be back with another retailer and another story. Till then, bye.